Welcome back, Mobile Home Park Nation. Here today with another episode of the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast. Got a great guest for you today. This guy, he's an inventor. He's an author. He had one of the, I think, the number one best-selling sales book for commercial real estate. He's a commercial real estate business coach. He owns the Massimo Group. Please help me welcome Rod Santomassimo. Rod, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Ferd, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, buddy.
You got it. Well, I know a little bit about you. I read your book, Knowing Isn't Doing. I know I'm not the only person who've read it because you've made a ton of sales on it, but tell us a little bit more about your background, and then we'll dive into what you do and how it can relate to the MHP business.
Yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur that had a toe in it sometimes. I wasn't quite sure, and then did corporate jobs and got a job, and then went back to try inventing stuff and starting businesses, and then those would fail, and went back and got a corporate job, and then I finally got laid off in 2008 from my job at that time. I was an executive vice president for some big real estate conglomerate working in California, although I live in North Carolina now with my family. And I said, you know what? That's the last job I'm ever going to have. I can't do it anymore. Because you work your butt off. I'm a worker. And just to be capped was killing me. So it was a great recession and no jobs to be found. And I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? I'm going to start coaching people how to get out of this recession and maybe we'll make some money. And so that's how it actually all started. I did call it the Massimo Group when it was just me. Now it's 30 something coaches and thousands of clients. And so it's been a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, the entrepreneurial spirit, I've got it myself too. And I have the same thing. And I was telling somebody yesterday, like, I don't want to have a boss again. I mean, to some degree, all my clients are my boss, but if I got a bad client, I can fire them. If I've got a board of directors or I've got an investor or if I've got, a supervisor, that's a boss to some degree. So I like the autonomy. I heard something this morning, actually. I think it was, a job is what was the saying? Basically a job is something they give you that takes away your dreams, but you think is good for you. It's like, it's the golden handcuffs kind of thing. And so I like being an entrepreneur. You've done a lot. Tell us more about I've read your book, and again, like I said, the business coaching. Tell us how that works, from maybe start to finish, how you talked about how you got into that, but how you can share some of those tips and tactics for our audience.
Yeah. For us, it was really understanding. Well, the key was any business is true. Any business, I read a Harvard study before I started the company on what it would take to be a successful coaching company. And we realized this is true with all companies, the three, legged stool here. So you needed talented people surrounding you with talented people. And if it's a mobile home park, it could be the maintenance guy, it could be a security guy, it could be, anyone, talented people, right? Trust them, they're talented. Number two is you need a platform. How are you going to operate? How are you going to facilitate? What's it going to be? Some folks, it's a CRM, a database. Other folks, they can use something as simple as Slack or Trello. These are online tools, but everyone needs a platform. And last but not least, what are your processes? We go into that deep in the book. Look, there's a sales process, there's a marketing process, there's an onboarding process, there's a new resident process, right? There's a resident retention process, there's a resident outgoing process. All these processes you need to understand and document and just understand. They create standards of what you expect to happen. So people, process, and platform is how I started to build the Massimo Group, by surrounding myself with talented people, creating processes and putting forth some platforms. And that allowed us to scale. That allows any business to scale and get the results you want.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think back to the old book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that most real estate investors have read. And I think half the real estate investors, that's what got them started. The book does a great job of fire in your belly, but it really talks about that. If you're on the one side of the equation, you're an employee or self-employed. If all I do is just practice law by myself. If I take a month vacation, I don't get paid, right? So if I'm going to scale, in my law business, I need other lawyers, right? I need paralegals. In my real estate business, if I'm going to scale, I need other people. Like you meant property managers, asset managers, bookkeepers. I need investors for financial capacity, but then the systems and processes systems, I think, are just absolutely vital. And just keeping track of, hey, when does the rent increase happen? When does the permit fee due? When does the taxes due? When can we, when do we need to check this? And then we do things like the due diligence list and all the legal components, all the financial components, all the site visit components. So absolutely agree. necessary to scale. There's lots of tools out there, but I think getting that mindset and your plan together is crucial right out the gate. And people don't do it, right? And you know more than me, I'm sure. People don't do it all the time, and then they're 2 or 3, 4, 10 years in the business, and they're like, we should stop and work on our business instead of work in our business. And I put time on my account every week, work on my business. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, and you just said people don't do it, and that's why when I wrote the book, and this is the first book of the 3 I've written, the first two became bestsellers in the commercial real estate space, but this last one became the bestseller in the country of all sales books.
Wow.
And the team I put together said, whatever you do, you can't use that title, knowing isn't doing. It's just too damn negative. I said, you know what? But that's the point. That point is
Right.
that knowing isn't doing. And even my sales team was like, you can't give everything away, Rod, because why will even hire us? I said, because they won't do it. They need help. And that's the point of the whole thing. For when you understand, you just said it, you got to do the work. It just is. Now, how you go ahead and do the work, create the processes, create the talented people, looking at your pipeline, getting the right residents, looking at the right elements of your, in this case, mobile home enterprise, that's a whole different story. So really what it is I laid a playbook for, look, if you want to own a business and then business is you, or you in some other capacity, you're an attorney, you're an architect, you're a mobile home operator, whatever it might be, this is a playbook to building that business.
No, that's great. I mean, setting aside the time, I tell my team, guard your time and plan your time, because you're right. Knowing isn't doing. I think I heard something similar from, I think it was from Tony Robbins at one of his events. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power, because execution beats knowledge every day of the week. And in order to get that power, or get the doing, you got to actually go through it. You got to go through the machinations. You got to get the process going. And I think that's crucial. So, I mean, I've liked your book. I know lots of other people do. Can you give us some more of the secret sauce in there? I know you got more acronyms, I think, than they had on the Wall Street, that book. But I get it. I'm trying to think what they all are. I paid, mom. There's a whole bunch of them. Can you run through some of those?
Well, let's stick with the I paid. This is the problem. A lot of our business owners, right? They're doing activities and they can't connect the activity to the compensation, right? Or the whatever you're doing, the relationship to the revenue. You can't figure it out. Our initial clients were all commercial real estate brokers. They may make a phone call one day and they may eventually get the listing, and they may eventually get the closing. They may eventually get the commission. That might take 6 months to a year. So how do you connect the 2 dots? Because what happens is most people, when they get the commission or the fee, they go, instead of celebrating, we also celebrate revenue, by the way, but instead of celebrating, it's a relief almost. Like, oh, yeah, they got them. Okay, good. Thank God I got the money. Right. And that's not what we should do. So the idea was, okay, let's let people get paid every day. How can we let everyone get paid every day? Now, of course, as a mobile homeowner, you're getting paid every month, and then you're thinking, okay, I got the residuals and the late payment, all that coming in, you're getting paid. But how do you get paid every day that your effort equates to, well, results? So we came up with this acronym called I paid. And the question was I paid today? And then we followed it by saying, okay, so the I paid acronym is this. Every day, identify what you need to do. Very simple, simple process, right? Then P, prioritize, no more than 10 things, by the way, but prioritize. Then allocate what you can allocate. You can allocate money, time, people. That's what you can allocate. It's what it is. Then, of course, the second I in I paid is implement. That's the doing part. That's the hard part. And finally, the D in I paid is either delegate or delete. It is never defer. Because if you keep on deferring things, that becomes demotivating after a while, right? I'm going to write that new marketing piece for this mobile home park. I'm going to write the new covenants for this. And you're never going to do it. And it makes like, oh, I don't want to do it, right? So delegate it. And believe me, there's plenty of talented people, certainly like Ferd and many others, but it can help you with certain situations in your mobile home, just what it is. So delegate it. It's just what it is. So that I paid acronym, Ferd, is all about being as productive as possible every single day.
I love it. I mean, the thing that I like the most about it, that I think is the hardest for new mobile home park owners. So a lot of my clients are first-time guys, first-time gals, first project. You might not have the money to hire people, so you're doing a lot. But what's amazing is that once you get that first hire, you're ready for the second hire and the third hire, because you're like, wow, I can delegate this and this and this. And you start to look at what your effective hourly rate. And, not that you're too good for something, but if your effective hourly rate is $50, well, you should not be doing $10 tasks. You should be outsourcing all $10 tasks, all $49 tasks. And then you'll free up all this time to do $50 work. And pretty soon you realize you can maybe do $51 work and 52 and so on. And that allows you to, allow this thing to start to snowball. And then it just gets better from there. It allows you to hire better people. You can hire people that know how to do $49 work, $50 work, and so on. And this sort of planning, reading, strategizing, I feel like that's, my thinking time stuff. I sit in my chair and it's like, that might be $1,000 work. That might be $2,000 work. And it's like, is it practical for me to do $2,000 work the whole day? Maybe not. But after that's more than my hourly rate for bill. It's like, well, I got to look at what are the things I can train other lawyers to do to even outsource high skilled, high paid, legal staff. And it works in every aspect of every business, I feel like, and part of that is the process and writing things down and have a system. I'm at the point, I'm like, I don't do anything twice. Once I've, I got a template of every document I ever created and ever used, and somebody else can do work from the template. And that's part of this delegation and part of this, this system. So I know I know you implement strategies like that, and it's great. What other strategies, you can respond to that if you like, what other strategies do you want to share?
Well, yeah, let's respond to that first. And obviously I could tell by from vernacular you're using, you're an extensive, comprehensive reader, right? It's obvious, right? So the E-Myth, working on your business, is what we need to do. Jack Daly wrote in his book, Hyper Sales Growth, if you don't have an admin, you are one. And I quote that in the book. And those 11 words, if you don't have an admin, you're one. I think it's 9 words, excuse me. So powerful. And that actually changed the trajectory of the Massimo group. I realized I was doing admin work at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, instead of sleeping and getting energy to do what I needed to do, $500 an hour work. That's just what it was. And so I got an assistant. Now today, or this morning, for example, actually it was last night at 8:30 Eastern, I was on a phone with the Philippines and it was 9:30 a.m. the following day there. But we were talking about doing some work together and they were going to charge me $5 an hour. Now here I'm thinking, wait a minute, I could hire here in the United States for at least the same job, $25, $30 an hour. Yeah, I could. I say, I could do it $5 an hour. Now I'm not promoting outsourcing and getting capital away from the US. That's not the point here. The point is we all live in a global economy now, so we got to be careful how we spend our dollars. Because here's the fact. Just because, and I write this in the book, just because you can do something better or faster than someone else, I ain't going to make you wealthier. So for example, you think you should manage your mobile home park. Great. Okay. Because you say, I know the way it's going to be. And it's only my way is the good way. And this way it's got to be. Think of the time and the effort and the energy, the emotional energy of managing that park. Everything you can do instead. I don't care if you're playing golf or going sailing or doing something more productive, right? Maybe you're collecting rents. Why? Other people can do that for you. There's so many things that you don't need to be doing when you operate a mobile home park or anything for that matter, because there's other people that are more talented than you, fact, at less cost than you, fact. Just a margin maker. That's the key. Can you make the margin?
I mean, that's definitely wisdom there. I'm curious if you have pushback on that. I feel like for the entrepreneurs, business owners, it's hard at times for people to let go of that thing. No, I'm the best at this. And I agree with you 100%, but I just know I've run into people and I've got even some personnel that are like, no, I can do this. Like, I know you can, but I want to let you downsource it so that you can do something higher and grow. And then it's a conversation I've had to have before. Did you have pushback on that?
Oh, absolutely. But I love what you're sharing though, right? Ferd just said, look, number one, I want you to grow. And that's a huge thing for a counterpart, a colleague, a peer, employee, an independent contractor, right? I know you can do this, but do this instead. Look, I just happen, my background is I am really wicked good at Excel pivot tables. Some people know what the heck those are, right? But there's these integrated comprehensive ways to use Excel. But I found a guy in Mexico that could do it for $8 an hour. That was getting out of making. But I really like Excel. I do. I love playing with Excel pivot tables.
Right.
It sounds kind of crazy when I say that out loud, but I could be doing so much more of my time. So I get pushback all the time, especially when you're starting out. I get it. You're just starting out. You don't have any money. You're doing it yourself. But here's the problem. Those individuals that never get off that mindset, we call that transaction treadmill. We talk about that in the book as well. That transaction treadmill, you're working hard, you're busy, you're doing everything. You think you're growing. The treadmill doesn't go anywhere. It just is a busy experience.
Right.
That's your status. You're busy. You're not growing your business. You're not. You're not growing yourself, and you're destined to give yourself a heart attack. So ease up, and let other people do what you don't need to be doing.
I agree. The transaction treadmill reminds me of a conference I was at, and they said there was, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 people in the room, mostly entrepreneurs. That's people that go to conferences. Those are people who had the flexibility to leave work that day. It was 4 or 5 days, and they said, "How many people in the room are business owners?" Everybody raised their hand, just about everybody. He goes, "How many people, if you don't go back to your desk for the next month, starting right now, have a successful business? Keep your hand up." And nearly everybody dropped their hand. He goes, "The rest of you guys are business operators." He said, "Business owners get rich, business operators get tired." And your treadmill example reminded me of that. Yeah, it's like, you know what? And I was one of those guys. I'm like, oh man, okay. So then it made me start doing things like write stuff down, come up with systems, come up with processes, hire, 6-figure personnel instead of $40,000 personnel. You can only, and it's more expensive, but like most things in life, if you pay for quality, you get quality. And some people don't. A lot of people got to start at the bottom, and so that's where you grow. Training. Richard Branson's got a great one. I think he says, train people well enough so they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't. And I try to do that with my staff. Is just say, I want you to make double, triple. It's not going to happen this year, but it might happen in 5, might happen in 2 or 3, and I'm here to help you get there. And I feel like it's all part of the culture you want to create as well. But
Well, I love that. I love the business owners get rich, business operators get tired. I haven't heard that one, but that was awesome.
I've been a business operator. Right now, I feel like I'm both. I'm business owner tired, and I'm business operator tired. I'm still
Hey,
working.
but I don't want to look. I'm sure you would share this, and please do, and I'll share with your audience. Look, the first 3 years of Massimo Group, I was working the first 2 years, 16 hours a day, easily, if not 18, getting no sleep, never seeing my kids, never really seeing my wife, and it was tough. I mean, it was grind the first 2-3 years. We're coming out of a recession, still in it basically at that time, and clients weren't flourishing. So I'm not suggesting anyone starting out, just go ahead and spend all your money on other people and just don't do anything, sit lay back. That's not the point here. The more you grind, the more you know, and the more you know, the more you can set and share and train, right? You just said it, Ferd, train other people. So I'm sure when you started out, Ferd, you weren't just hanging out on the beach and delegating the whole day, were you?
No, not at all. I mean, I was one of those people. It was hard to get to do it, because, and as you said, when you're out and you're starting off in the grind too, it's like it's financially it's even impractical. Like you can't just take on overhead. And I don't want to ever, like, even when I've just hired several people recently, I always want to evaluate, can I afford these people, even if, and what if, because I don't want to have somebody leave a job and then, revenue was down, I estimated wrong, or business wasn't as good as I thought, so sorry, you're fired, 6 months in, because I can't afford you anymore. Like that, I feel like that's not fair to the person, right? So I want to really make sure that there's a very strong chance of, okay, you're going to stay here and it's going to grow, and we've got reserve, we've got a business projection that you're going to more than pay for yourself. And then that's what employees, are supposed to do to some degree, right? Is, provide value that covers their cost. And then some, whether they're revenue generators like salespeople or overhead people like accounting, that you need accounting, and they, allow your other people to grow and so on. So it's a constant analysis of, how's my business path looking, and what am I doing to stay on course or modify my course?
I couldn't agree more. I think what you said, and some business owners, and we talk about this in the book. Look, every business, I don't care if you're Amazon or your Bob's new garage just started out. Every business has 5 divisions, and if you don't understand that and work it, you're just gonna be stuck. You need a plateau. You're not gonna get out of it. And so everyone's just, and we talk about this in the book and why they're all so important. So the obvious number one is all businesses have a sales division, right? And when you're starting out, by the way, you're all five of these. You are. You're the head of sales. That's number one, right? You're prospecting. You're going out. You're trying to fill your spaces. Whatever you're doing. Then there's marketing, where you're actually promoting. Marketing is promotion. That's what it is. It's awareness. It's present, right? You need that even when you're creating a community, right? And retention from your mobile home owners and residents, you want retention. That's what marketing is really absolutely is important. It just is. Then that's two. Then the third is operations. How do we do things here? What's our retention process, right? All those things we talk about. Those operations division, you have to ask yourself, how am I doing operationally? How am I doing sales wise? How am I doing marketing wise? Then the fourth division is finance. And finance is kind of the obvious one for a lot of folks, but they don't go deep enough. It's not just for, well, commercial real estate brokers think it's just my pipeline. No, it's not, right? Do you have a P&L statement? Yeah, if you're an independent contractor, folks, you need to have your own P&L statement, your own balance sheets, budgets. You have a budget. You're operating a mobile home park. Do you have the budget? Because if you don't have the budget, you're winging it. That's problematic. Do you have a tax strategy for yourself and for the asset and for the operation? I know we'll share this in a little bit. We do have a free tax strategy bonus materials for you all to digest because I tell you, for the first thing I learned when I started realizing, look, it's all about building wealth and building margin. That's the goal for a lot of people. I was making money as the company grew, but I wasn't becoming wealthy. I knew that. I was making money. You talked about operator owner, right? Rich,
Mhm.
tired. So I was making money, but I was making wealth until I retained, hired, outsourced a tax strategist. And he started showing me, hey, this is how you can start creating things and doing things. And I was like, geez and crackers, is this legal? And I checked it out by three other accountants. Said, oh yeah, that's legal.
Right.
And so then guess
Right.
what? The wealth started. Then I started creating and accumulating wealth, and I did. And to me, wealth just means that I could take off a month and not have to worry about anything, right?
Right.
So that so that's what it means now. So, but let's understand. So now you got your sales, your marketing, your operations, your finance, and last but not least, and we just talked about this for a night most of the day. You got to have a human resource department, and yes, that means maybe recruiting, hiring, training, motivating, retaining your manager, your leasing agent, but more importantly, it means yourself. How are you growing? How are you getting better? What books are you reading? How are you getting coached? How are you getting trained? How are you getting smarter in what you do? Yeah, do you know the latest trends in mobile home parks? Do you listen to Ferd's podcast every week, no matter who it's on? So you're learning more and more about what to do correctly, things like that. So if I leave you with anything today, it's gonna be, look, you're the CEO of a major business. That business just happens to be the single mobile home park you own or the enterprise you have. That's just what it. But you are the CEO. You just are, and you have five divisions you have to manage and direct. And once you start doing those, then the good news is you start seeing the cash roll in, and then you start seeing the wealth be created.
Great stuff, Rod. That's great stuff. I love your little sidebar there on the tax strategy, because it's funny that you had to ask, is it legal? That's how you know it's powerful stuff. Like, is this allowed? You're like, yeah, that's when I first heard about cost segregation. I've got an episode on for real estate owners, cost segregation and bonus depreciation, accelerated depreciation. Is like, wait a second, you mean I can own this for one day and I can write off $1 million? Yeah, but it hasn't made any money yet. Yeah, doesn't matter. It's like, well, I'm a real estate professional. I can write off my law firm income. Like, what? He's like, man, tax strategies like that. I swear the best use of my time is reading tax stuff, and it's more valuable than prospecting financial analysis. That's part of what you're
The
doing.
best use of my time is having my tax strategist read his stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna read that.
and I like my accountant plenty, but nobody watches your money as close as you do. So I try to understand every aspect of my businesses, because a lot of accountants have a mile wide of knowledge and about a foot deep. I don't need a mile wide. I don't care about manufacturing tax credits for coming up with new design for
Right,
automobiles,
right,
right? I
right.
care about maybe a foot wide in real estate professional, real estate law, and I want to go as deep as possible.
Yep.
And then my accountants, sometimes I've gone through 3 or 4 accountants in 10 years because I'll say, no, this is, I have to look up case law. Like, this is what it says. Like, no, that's illegal. I'm like, no, it's not. Here's a case from the U.S. tax court. This is a winning strategy. Oh, we don't do that. Well, then you're a bookkeeper. You're not a CPA. You're not a CFO. You know,
And that's why you notice I didn't say accountant. We have those. I said tax strategist.
yes,
So you and I are saying the same things, a little different verbiage, but yeah,
yes.
same thing. Yep.
No, I think it's Keith Sutherland, no, Keith Cunningham, the original Rich Dad, supposedly. I saw him at a conference, and he said, um, if CPAs were that smart, they'd all be rich. Instead, they do your books. CFOs understand how your business works, understands the difference between cash flow and profit. And there's a lot of, actually, I wish I could have him on here, but a lot of great stuff and understanding the financial and tax implications of your business operations and such. But that's another topic for another day. But Rod, this is great. Anything else you want to share before we go? But other than let us know where we can find you, of course, as well.
Yeah. You could always find us at Massimo, Massimo.coach. That's our easiest website of all the websites we have. But if you want some free resources on the book, Knowing Isn't Doing, go to knowingisn'tdoing.com. That's knowingisn'tdoing.com. Download the free resource book and definitely download the tax strategy book. Now, those tax strategies were obviously based on 2020 policies. They haven't changed yet, but we know they're going to change. So just be aware of that as you read the material.
All right, Rod, I appreciate it. Thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Ferd, great show, great time. Thanks, man. Really appreciate you having me on. Take care.
You got it. Bye now.